Welcome to the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. This is episode 32, Stranded on a Desert Island Games. My name is Tyler.
Hello, this is Kevin.
This is Tyson.
In this episode, we're going to discuss the games we've been playing lately. Then we'll have a draft for the games we would choose if we were stranded on a desert island.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Really good. I think the hardest part about this episode was deciding what to call this episode.
This is true.
Agreed. But I think we landed on a good title, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for this episode. In spite of how long it took us to figure out what to call this episode, I think there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of this.
You know, I hope I never have to actually use this list. I don't really want to be stranded on a desert island.
I don't either. The part of me that would like to accept a heavy challenge, I think would be fun.
Yeah, and the Boy Scout in me wants to always be prepared. Right. So I'm glad I have this list put together.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't you guys just go on like one of those reality TV shows where they throw you out in the middle of nowhere and then
those are all
check
scripted.
There will be no
rates?
reality TV show that forces you to play board games on a desert island.
Yeah.
That sounds like a get you out of your seat screaming ratings through the roof kind of episode.
Yeah. I mean, I would watch it, but I don't think the viewership is going to be that good for that show.
So I have a couple of things that I want to say.
I'm ready for this.
This sounds serious.
So in the past, I've been accused of not listening.
Rightfully
while
so.
we're recording.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yep, exactly. So I would like to promise you that I will be hanging on every word, Tyson, and every word, Kevin.
We're going to do a recap at the end of the episode just to see how
Quiz
well
me.
Tyler
Hold
did.
you to this. Yeah.
Right.
Make you accountable.
The second thing I wanted to mention is our new snapshot episodes that we're going to be releasing.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we're trying a different format. We're just going to give it a shot. These snapshot episodes, they're going to be 10 to 15 minutes long. We'll talk about, we'll feature one game. And a lot of these games are going to be, actually all of these games are going to be shorter, more family style, not necessarily Cult of the New games. We may visit games that we've been playing for years. And hopefully, I think the goal of these snapshot episodes is to highlight games that we really like and to expose other people to these games. And maybe you'll find a hidden gem that you hadn't seen before. So stay tuned for some of these episodes coming out soon.
So we're going to try and get a few of those out over the month in February, and but we're still keeping our normal episodes and normal format and length, and it's just something new that we wanted to try.
Yeah, we like doing the podcast, and we want to make more content accessible. I think one of the things we'd like to do is talk about some of these games, like Kevin mentioned, that maybe games we've played a lot, but also we don't necessarily talk, at least with the first several episodes that we're going to go through, we don't necessarily talk about these games, even though we've played these games a lot. So I think this is a way for us to dive deeper into some of these games that may be more of a staple for us.
Yeah, that sounds great. Hey, I've got a question for you.
I see your mischievous grin, and I'm very concerned.
This is going to be good.
We're about to get into what we've been playing lately, right? I wanted to ask, what is a town full of pigs called?
I knew this was coming.
Oh my gosh.
Something with swine. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hamlet. Ham, get it? Okay.
Again, if you have to explain your joke, it may not be the best joke, but I liked it. It was good.
He looks a little confused sometimes.
The confusion is why you think it's funny, not about how the joke works.
There's been a few times over 33 episodes or whatever that my joke has gone over your head a little bit.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe once or twice.
They do require a certain degree of sophistication, but on the scale of sophistication, it may be the lower end.
One of the games that Kevin and I had a chance to play was called Hamlet, the Village Building Game. This is a recent Kickstarter that fulfilled right at the end of 2022. Dan backed it, and we got to play his copy. It's 1 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes. It was designed by David Chirkop, and artist is Yusuf Artin, and it was published by Mighty Boards. medium weight game. It's a village building game, as the subtitle says. So in this game, the winner is the person that most contributes to the building of this village. And a hamlet is actually a small village without a church. So over the course of this game, players are going to be delivering resources at different times to the church to complete different sections of it. As they do, they will get rewarded for that with victory points, but they will also be building up other tiles, building up roads. Whoever contributes the most is the winner. You'll score points in many ways, such as making church deliveries, constructing buildings, selling at the market, building roads, refining materials, gaining milestones and awards, and connecting a strong delivery network. It does have a really cool thing. So with the donkeys, you start out the game with 2 donkeys, and your donkeys make up your network. So they allow you to move resources around the village to use them when you go on an action tile that would require resources. Some action tiles, when you move your workers there, will produce resources. Some will consume them or refine them. Some of the things that you can do with your workers otherwise is you can build roads or you can build buildings. And so on each turn, the gameplay is really simple. On each turn, you can use any number of your workers. Obviously, you want to try and use all of them. And you can also move all of your donkeys up to one space. So you have this fluid network that you can move around, which is really cool. There's a tile market. So there's very unique tiles that have buildings or landmarks on them that score victory points or whatever. You can buy them from a market, and that is continually getting refreshed. But when you buy it, you don't immediately place it on the board. You're just kind of reserving that blueprint, I guess, so that only you can build that later at your discretion. So, really, really simple concepts, really fun. I really enjoyed my play of this. I would go back to this game. There was a couple things that bugged me a little bit. The tiles are all really irregularly shaped, which was kind of weird to adjust to. The art is also a little busy on them, but it makes for a really interesting Hamlet that's going to get created every game. Every game, the board's going to be different. And the networking, because of the shared resources and that stay on the tiles and creating the networks with the roads and the donkeys, and it gave off a vibe of brass for me. So I just thought it was really, really fun little game. I enjoyed my first play. I would enjoy going back to this game. I don't know, what did you think of it, Kevin?
I liked it. I thought it was great. Similar to you, I had a few nitpicks about it, and mainly it was the production of it. Some of the choices were a little strange to me. I thought it is such a small game. It is just so, it's like microscopic. So you set it up on the table and you're squinting to see, what you're looking at here. And the art on it was a little busy. So Dan, we mentioned we played with Dan. He was explaining some of the rules to start. And he's like, oh, this is a mountain and this is a forest. And I'm like, I don't see that.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, okay, here's a segment of this forest. And there's these little dots or something that were on there that were kind of weird, not readily visible. But once, and those are minor things. Once you get over those, then about, a third of the way through the game, you're like, oh, it just kind of disappears and you don't worry about that anymore. But initially that was a little bit of a concern. But I liked it. I thought the gameplay was fun. The irregular shaped pieces were a little bit weird at first, but really, yeah, like you mentioned, Tyler, it makes for a unique board every time you play. Every time you play this game, it's going to be different. Transferring the resources to your guy is kind of cool. Making sure your donkeys are spread out. Donkey management's important in this game.
Yeah. Well,
it was cool. I liked it.
I loved the ability to move your donkeys. That was so cool. You have this moving, living network that you can adjust, where a lot of times, you build roads or railroads.
And it's fixed, right?
It's fixed, and you're stuck with that. So I thought that was something really cool that they did.
Yeah. So overall, I liked it. It's one that I'd be interested in playing again. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but I'm real glad that Dan has a copy.
It's not one that I'd ever heard of. And in fact, the publisher, Mighty Boards, was one that I thought I hadn't heard of either. But apparently they've done several well-known titles, Excavation Earth being one of those, Post-Human, which I've heard good things about, and then Petrichor, which is one that I've always been interested in. Petrichor, the word is very interesting to me. It's the smell of rain after it rains. But
Love that smell.
So if
Just
this
learned
is
something new.
if this is anything like some of those, I've heard great things about those too, and I'd be interested in trying Dan's copy too. So my question though is, which is a smaller board? Is it going to be Clans or is it going to be Hamlet?
I felt like Hamlet was on 80% of the scale of Clans.
Yeah, like the pieces that you are using in the game are super small.
You need tweezers.
No,
but
it's not like Tiny Epic.
Anything.
Yeah, it just felt like the game could have been 50% bigger.
Yeah.
And it would have been a normal sized game, you know. I feel that way about Clans at times too, but it's not quite to the extent of Hamlet, in my opinion. But it's still a very playable. And it wasn't that bad once you started getting into it.
Yeah, and I thought it was fun for a medium weight economic city building game. It was great. If you missed the Kickstarter, I think their retail copies are going to be available this spring. So check those out. That was Hamlet, the village building game from Mighty Boards.
So I want to go next because, Tyler, you just mentioned Tiny Epic games, right? And the game I want to talk about is a game designed by the Tiny Epic designer, Scott Almes. It is Unsurmountable. This is one of Scott Almes' Simply Solo games in the Button Shy Simply Solo series. Essentially, this is a series of games that Almes has done similar to the Tiny Epic series in that it has a gimmick. And the gimmick here is that this is only going to be a solo game that is being played in different ways. So essentially, he's created a number of these wallet-sized games, these 18-card games, and Button Shy has published them. In this one, Unsurmountable, not Insurmountable. It is a game in which you are a mountain climber, and your goal is to get to the top of this mountain. You have 18 cards in your deck. One of those is a rescue helicopter. The other 17 are different parts of the mountain. And essentially what you're doing is throughout the game, you're going to build a pyramid, and you're trying to make your path go in a contiguous order from one card at the bottom. It's got to come from the bottom of the card all the way up to the top of the mountain, which is the top card in this pyramid stack. So the game lays out that you have 5 cards in front of you at any given time. This is called your base camp. The base camp essentially is all these cards that you can use, and only ever can you put into the mountain the card that is at the furthest left of this base camp. The other 4 cards that are in this base camp all have abilities written on them, and you can use these abilities to do different things. So some of those abilities could be like you can draw a card from the deck and remove it from the game without using the ability. That could be beneficial. Or you could do something like swap the first card in your base camp with a card on the mountain. So you can rearrange how the paths are going throughout it. And it's just this path building game. At first, when I started playing this game, I only recently got this, and I've played it a couple times. But the first time I played this game, at the first part of it, I was like, well, this seems really prescribed. Like, I can only...
Do you feel like the game was playing itself a
Yeah,
little bit?
at first I did, because I was like, well, I can only ever put that one out, and I'm going to do this thing. But as things started to unfold, and at first, I hadn't used any abilities for the first, like, half of the game. And I was like, well... I'm not even paying attention to them. But part of that was the way that those cards had come out, that it could actually just make a contiguous path that allowed me to go up the mountain. But then I started playing, and it actually started to feel like it was getting harder the higher up I went, and made me feel like I was ascending a mountain, and it was becoming more and more difficult. And that was kind of an interesting thematic take that I wasn't expecting from this game. It's not the most brain-burny, challenging game out there, but it's a fun way to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes to try and figure out this puzzle. And then the abilities do start to become more and more important. The real hard thing is that because you can only use that left card in your base camp and you have to use it, you are sometimes forced to put a card into the mountain that you don't want to do. So you're looking at the abilities and trying to think, okay, well, if I put this one here for now, is there a way that I can swap that out? Or is there a way that I can move that card into my base camp somewhere else or get it out of the game so that I can put a card better place? So you're trying to ensure that you're arranging that base camp some way. I've played a number of these simply solo games. So Food Chain Island and Ugly Griffin Inn are the two that I've played before this one. And of the three that I've played of those, I think that my favorite is Food Chain Island. But this one was a fun take, and I like it for the space it occupies and allowing me to get a quick experience in.
I mean, you could hide this in your armpit if you wanted to.
Well, this is why we never see Tyson's games. Because they're all the size of a wallet.
I do have about 20 of them from Butt and Shy. So
are these all like? Are the ones that you've played? Are they all similar weight and all take like 10 to 15 minutes, or do some of them get a little more complex?
They do get a little bit more complex in different ways. Some of them, yes, they're all similar weights for the most part, but I think that for me, I like the ones that are a little bit more complex than this because you're trying to solve the puzzles. And essentially, if I'm playing a solo experience, that's one of the things I like about a solo experience is I want to solve a puzzle. And this one just felt like not as difficult to me. I've only played it a couple times though, so maybe it is more difficult. And there are, I will note, ways to increase the difficulty of the game. So level 2 is start with a base camp size of 4 cards instead of 5, making it harder to do stuff. And then there are up to 5 different levels, so you can increase the difficulty in it. So maybe that's something I just need to try.
Nice.
I like the look of it. Looks cool. I'd be interested in trying it out. And there you go. I can just stick it right in my wallet.
I've got it right here, and you can take it if you want to try and play it.
No, that sounds great.
You could sneak that one into prison.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't
you
know
could.
how, but maybe in my beard.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not planning on going to prison.
Yeah, Tyler, report back and let us know how that goes.
Go commit a felony and then tell me how you played this game in prison.
A little bit of a weird comment, but yeah, cool.
My description of Hamlet was a felony.
We should definitely call the authorities on that one.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's Unsurmountable.
Say that again?
That's Unsurmountable.
It's going to be unsurmountable following that one up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should just skip mine. I don't know. So this year I've been playing more games with my kids, which has been just a really fun, awesome experience for me. And one of the games that we've played quite a bit of is called Kids Chronicles: Quest for the Moonstones. So this one is it's a Lucky Duck. It's published by Lucky Duck Games, and it's in their kids line of games. It's designed by David. I'm going to butcher this. Sorry, David. Kickerell artists. There's 3 artists. I'm not even going to try how to pronounce their names, but they did a great job. The art's awesome. So this one, if you've played Chronicles of Crime, this is basically the kids' version of Chronicles of Crime. The theme of the game is that you're apprentice magicians and you are going through these fantasy lands that have dragons and people that you meet, and you're trying to figure out what happened. I'm not going to talk about the theme too much because there's spoilers. You want to go through and experience that yourself. But it's based on that Chronicles of Crime system. So if you haven't played those games, what you do is there's a bunch of cards and there's QR codes on those cards. You have scenarios that you go through, different lands that you're going to visit, and you will discover things. So if you go to a new land, you'll actually, on your phone or your tablet, it will have a kind of a virtual reality representation of that land. You can look around the room and find people and find objects. And in this game, it's very simplistic. In Chronicles of Crime, you're actually really trying to dig in to see what's in that area. But this one, you're going to find like a person, maybe 2 people, and an object, right? When I first did this with my daughter, it just blew her mind that a game could do this. She was like, whoa, that is so cool. And she was super excited. And she's like, you can look around the room and find things. Holy cow, let's look at the ceiling. Let's look at the floor. She just got super jazzed up about it. So you're going around, and if you find a person in that location, you put that person's card on the board, then you can scan their code. You can start asking them questions about other objects. And slowly throughout this scenario, you're going to start figuring things out. It's a kid's game, so it's not hard. My 16-year-old came down and says, oh, you got to go there. Oh, you got to go there. And I'm like, hey, quiet. We want the 9-year-old to figure this out herself. It's very simplistic, but it was just so cool and such a good experience to see, my kids' eyes light up as they started to figure this out. And it was just a super good introductory version of this game to, hopefully maybe get them into harder games later. But it was a fun experience. We're through. We're probably 2/3 of the way through now, and I'm excited to get through the rest of it. So that's Kids Chronicles.
Nice.
Kate will be all over this in a few years, I'm sure.
You mentioned that AR integration in the game, right? I remember, and I wasn't a kid, so the awe that your daughter had is not alone. The first AR experience I had was with Google Sky, figuring out that, hey, you can see the sky and look
there's
at where
the
stars
constellations.
Oh, are you kidding? There's Ursa Minor, there's Ursa Major, there's Orion.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the integration and the awe-inspiring nature that has. So maybe I'm just a kid at heart.
It's cool.
For a second, I thought that was a transition into Astra, but we've already talked about that.
That would have been the perfect transition. Yeah. So this is a cool one. There's a cool cat in there called Nils. He's your familiar. He helps you out if you get stuck and makes cool cat noises that my daughters love. So.
Do the cases play much shorter?
30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, so they're still pretty comparable.
Yeah, it's pretty meaty, but which is cool because if you can keep a kid's attention for 45 minutes on a game, that's a pretty good game. My 5-year-old was there and she was eating it up. She would have her own deck of cards, and if you played Chronicles of Crime, there's just all these item cards that you try and find. She would have half the deck, and I'd say, "Oh, okay, what did we see in that in the forest? Well, we saw a staff. Can you find the staff?" And she would dig through and get super excited when she could find the staff, or that weird person, whoever, the king. Can you find the king? So even as young as a 5-year-old could get into it and have a good time.
Is it a game that you can grow with? So it's easy is what it sounded like, but is there difficulty ramping at all with different scenarios in there?
I don't think that there's difficulty. It's just you're going through the story.
Okay.
Right. If you want to get more difficult and more adult, you're going to go to Chronicles of Crime.
Right.
When, your kids get old enough for that. There's some more adult themes there. So you don't want the 5-year-old looking at a bloody crime scene or something, But yeah, that would be the natural progression when they get older is to actually do Chronicles of Crime. Or, I've talked about Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy in the past. That is also by Lucky Duck Games and their kids line. Been playing that a ton as well. I won't go over that one again, but I just think, Lucky Duck has been knocking it out of the park with these. They're doing a really good job. So I'm excited to see what comes next in that line. That is Kids Chronicles Quest for the Moonstones.
Nice. So the next game that I'm going to talk about is The Red Cathedral by Devere Games. It was designed by Israel Centrero and Sheila Santos. Art was by Kema Roman and Pedro Soto. It came out in 2020. It's got a nice, beautiful picture of St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow on it. It comes in a nice little compact box. I had a blast with this game. It was a lot of fun. So basically, in this game, you are working for, each player is working for Ivan the Terrible in the 15th century, trying to build up St. Basil's Cathedral. And the main components of the game, there's a board with a rondel on it, and there's dice, and you're going to be moving these dice around and collecting resources from this rondel. And there's some interesting things going on there. And then the other thing is you have these towers of this cathedral that are not completed. and you're trying to score the most points by the end of the game. The game end is triggered by someone completing 6 sections of the cathedral. The turns are really simple. I thought the gameplay was really fun. I really enjoyed this game. It's definitely staying in my collection. So basically, on your turn, you have a few choices. You can claim a section of the cathedral. So if you do that, and nobody else can build that section, and then you also get the workshop tile to add to your player board. The second thing that you can do is you can build the section or sections that you've claimed that represent the different sections that you've claimed when you've put enough resources on them. As part of the build action, you can also pay resources to put a few decorations to make the sections a little bit nicer, and those have some victory point considerations at the end of the game as well. Those are the first 2 things that you can do. You can claim a spot in the cathedral, and then you can build it, and only you can build it, or you can decorate any completed section in the cathedral. The third thing that you can do on your turn, and this is for me where the game shines, you pick up any of the 5 dice that are on the rondel, and you move that die however many spaces the value of the die is. So if it's a 3, you're going to move it 3 spaces. Oh, it's the red one. Remember, I use wherever that red die lands, I'm going to get the resource that is available there. Plus, on the board, there are 4 quadrants around this rondel. Whatever section that you land in, you can also use that quadrant special ability. And those are things like trading resources or buying or selling resources or doing an extra build action, or, there's some variable cards there that determine what is available in each quadrant, each game. I really enjoyed this game. Like I said, I just love the timing of the choices. The scoring track is interesting. I'll get to that in a minute. There's just some really cool things going on here, and I had an absolute blast with the game. The race of trying to finish the sections, and seeing near the end of the game, how can I eke out as much as possible? How do I get the resources that I need right now to build this or to do that? Just really cool. I loved this game, and I was really impressed with it. And it's like I said, it's definitely staying in my collection. What did you think, Kevin? Kevin played this as well.
Yeah. So anytime rondels in a game, my ears perk up a little bit because I love rondels, and this one does a great job with it. So there's a few things that I really like about this game. You mentioned the tiles you get when you claim a cathedral piece that go on your board. Those are just awesome, right? Because I love games where you're building something or you have something that not everybody else has, and you take an action that's cool only for you.
Yeah.
And everybody else looks at you and goes, "Oh, that is pretty cool," And it's like, "Hey, that's mine." And that this game does that, and it does it pretty well. And then the decisions that you have to make are hard decisions, and it's not a difficult game to play. The rule set's pretty straightforward, but it presents choices and decisions that are hard. Am I going to move this die here, or am I going to move this die? I'm out of range in this die, so you're like, no, I really need to do this over here, but I've got to count 3 and I've got to go 4 spaces, and it's not one of my dice that I can manipulate. Because I don't know if you mentioned that each player they can manipulate the white die and then one colored die, and that's the only 2 that you can manipulate.
It's their color. That's their player board color. Yeah,
exactly. That's your player board color. So if it's not that die, you're out of luck. And it may be, Tyler's die or something else that they can do something with. So it's got a lot of cool concepts, a lot of cool things, tough decisions. I had a great time. I thought that was a good game.
And something I didn't mention, after you use a die in the market to claim resources, you roll all the dice that are in the section that die ended up in at the end of your turn. Yeah. So somebody might be planning on using a die that's in that section to get the resources they want, and then you go rolled, there, and then re-roll, and it's like, what? But then
there were a lot of groans at the table too, where it's like, no, roll better, dang it. Yeah.
One of the other things that I thought was really cool is the scoring track. So you have there's 2 different types of points that you collect during the game. You collect prestige points, and I think it was recognition points. And recognition points, they just move you up. Like if it says go up 2 or 3, or if it says go up 3 recognition points, you go up just 3 spots, right? But if you go up 3 prestige points, there are prestige symbols all along the track that start out really far apart. So you can make big jumps as you go up 3 of those early on. As you get further down the scoring track, they become closer and closer. So it's not as big of an advantage, but it's really cool to consider like, oh, I could do this action, which will give me 2 prestige, but I'm one space away from the first prestige. So maybe I should get a recognition point first, get to that step
to maximize my moves.
And then do the prestige rewarding action and go up jump up a huge amount of spaces. So I thought the scoring track was really interesting that way.
And it incentivizes you to go after prestige early in the game, which, may not be the best way to go.
Right. There's a balance there.
Yeah, but maybe it is the best way to go because you're jumping up the track more. So it is a balance, and it makes for interesting decisions early in the game.
And it's also like at the end, it's a race who can finish the 6th section first because they get bonus prestige for that.
Right.
Interesting decisions. I love the timing of everything and trying to figure out what's best for your turns. So that is the Red Cathedral.
So I think there's been a pattern to your games, Tyler, that you've done this episode, and that's games you've played without Tyson, but with Kevin, and that's basically my fault.
You've been busy lately.
I have been busy, and I'm going to be talking about another solo game. In fact, in the same series that I just talked about, Simply Solo, it's another Scott Alms Simply Solo game. This one is called Fishing Lessons. I was more interested in Fishing Lessons than I was in Unsurmountable. These games are relatively cheap and really quick and easy to play for me. But the reason that Fishing Lessons caught my eye is that it's this really quaint kind of almost homey, very like it's sweet. The whole theme behind this game is it takes place a year after one of your relatives has passed away, and this relative of yours is somebody who was a big fisher and taught you how to fish. And so you're taking the lessons that this member of your family, Leland Williams is his name, has taught you and applying those. The art in this, which is done by Nevaeh Tolivar. If you've ever watched like a Studio Ghibli kind of a film with like My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, or Spirited Away, any of those types of films, this art reminds me of that to an extent. It's really pretty cute. But essentially the game works in that, again, there are 18 cards in this game. You have 3 of those cards, which are double-sided as different family member cards. So you, in the game, at the start of the game, you choose to be one of these family members. They have preferences of the type of fish that they want to catch. A carp or a bass or some other, a tilapia, whatever else there are. And that's your basic goal of this game, is you're trying to catch a certain amount of fish of specific types. Then you have 7 lake cards. These lake cards are always the same every game, but they're shuffled and laid out in a row, and you place your family card above the middle card in that row, and you'll be moving from card to card throughout the game. You have then a lesson row and a deck. This game, there's, I think, more decisions to make, because that lesson row, essentially what it is, there are 8 lesson cards in the game, and each of them have different abilities or configurations on them. So each lesson card has a movement type of a section on the card, and it has a flip section of the card. So all of the lake cards start face down at the start of the game, and your objective is you're trying to flip them over, because on the other side of the lake cards are the different fish. There's always going to be 2 fish on a different lake portion, and you're trying to configure it so that the fish that you want are face up and the fish you don't want are face down. So essentially, these movement or lesson cards, they have different lessons that your relative Leland has taught you, and they teach you how to move and how to cast and flip over cards. So each round, what you do is you draw one of these lesson cards and you put it out in front of you. When you put it out in front of you, you have to do whatever is in it. And then as the round goes by, you add to that lesson row. But then once that lesson card is placed, you then must execute all the actions on every visible lesson card. So you can see that as you're going through this game, if you make your lesson row have a lot of different cards in it, you're going to have to resolve every single action on those cards. And you have to puzzle out, if I put this card down and flip a card, and then I have to move, my next card is going to make me flip a card, and it might flip something that I've already flipped. So you're trying to peek at whatever cards are available, and then you're trying to figure out where the fish are that you want to catch. And you have essentially 8 turns basically until it's done. Because once the deck is depleted of lesson cards, the game ends. It is a little bit more thinky, I think, than any of the other ones I've played.
It sounds like, you know what it sounds like?
What does it sound like?
The Airy Dynasty in Root. How you create your decree, and you're slowly adding more and more actions to it. And if you can't complete it, then I don't remember the terminology, but you break the decree and you basically have to start over and you take a penalty at some point.
No, that's a good comparison. I hadn't even considered that, but it's this kind of cascading ramping effect where the further along you go, you have more to do and you're trying to juggle all of these tasks. So in theory, you could always just replace the card that you last played and remove it from the game, and you're only doing one at a time. But if you only do that, from what I've played so far, you're not going to be able to move along the lake far enough. And sometimes you need to catch the fish on the whole other side of the lake. So you need to have multiple cards. And it's that balance between how many cards do I put out versus how many cards do I remove from the game.
Are you trying to flip over all of the cards, or are you just trying to find certain fish, right?
You're just trying to find certain fish. So every card has 2 different fish on them.
Yeah.
And there's different combinations of those fish. And so you're trying to get the ones that work for your goal.
Got it.
If there are cards that are flipped over that either exceed your goal or aren't applicable to your goal at all, you can't win until they're flipped face down.
Oh, interesting. It sounds very puzzly.
It is very puzzly.
Of the 2 that you've described, I think I'd be more interested in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say that this one, of the 2, I prefer Fishing Lessons to Unsurmountable. I'm still not sure. This one could be one that I like more than any Simply Solo game, but still, based off of what I've played a lot of Food Chain Island, and I like that one a lot. It's kind of that pegboard kind of, you hop over a spot and kind of remove a card from the game. But this is a competitor to be one that I really like more.
The theme's pretty cool too.
I agree.
I like that.
It's really cute. It's really nice, and it's like, it is kind of relaxing in some ways. And
regardless of the outcome of the game, you're fed for life.
Yeah. Yeah, you teach a man to fish, right? No, of the 2, Fishing Lessons is probably the one that I prefer most, but they're both great games. And that's Fishing Lessons from Button Shy Games and designed by Scott Alm.
So he's been hitting it out of the park lately. I mean, I've been hearing a ton about Beer and Bread, and I've almost pulled the trigger on that multiple times. And probably we will.
You probably should.
Probably will very soon.
Nice.
Based off of that statement, I'd be surprised if you don't actually do it, because you have low impulse control once you've gotten to this threshold.
All right, that's a challenge. I'm not buying it.
Oh my God, you are totally buying it. All right, so a game that I actually played yesterday, I got a few rounds of it in with my wife, is called 5211, I think, or 5211, or I don't know. It's got a 5-2 and a 1-1 in the title. This is designed by Soyushi Hashaguchi. Artist is Chris Quilliams, and this is published by Next Move Games. So it's a pretty easy, simple card game. There's 100 cards in the deck, 20 in each of 5 different colors. You have these little lizards on some of the cards that are called Kododos. And a Kododo, according to the rules, is a beautiful turquoise-colored lizard found in the island of Curacao and Aruba.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a real thing?
It is a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking this was like the last of the really great Wangdoodles. That's a creature that was invented by Julie Andrews from Sound of Music.
Oh my gosh. No.
I'll show you Wangdoodle.
I don't know how to respond to that, but it is true. Yes, it's an actual lizard. Yeah.
Okay.
The Kododo.
I would love to go to Curacao sometime.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean,
next Cabin Con.
Yeah.
Let's go to Curacao.
Hapshida. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Back to the game. So there's these Cadodos. There are, and they're worth 1 point. There are cards that are, there's 2 through 6, right? The 6 value, there's 1. The 5 value, there's 1. There's more of the cards as you get lower, right? So you shuffle up all these cards. You take out a certain amount of cards based on player count. So if you're playing a 2-player game, you take out 10 cards. You don't know, it's random. You don't know what those 10 cards are. Shuffle everything up. You deal 5 cards to each player. The reason why it's called 5-2-1-1 is you get dealt 5 cards, you play 2 cards, then you play 1 card, then you play 1 card. So you play 2 cards, you lay them down, you look to see what everybody else has played, and then you play 1 more card, you play 1 more card, and then you score. The way you score is that if there is a certain number of Cadodos that are played in a 2-player game. It's just a funny word.
Wing dodos.
Yeah. If in a 2-player game, if there are 4 Cadodos visible on the table, then only the Cadodos will score, and you get 1 point for each one that you have in front of you that goes in your scoring pile. If there is not 4 Cadodos, then you look at the highest set of one color, and then all of those cards will score. And you get the value of whatever that card is. So if you play a yellow 6, there's 4 yellows, then you're going to score that yellow 6 and all of the other yellows that you have in front of you. The trick is there's a limit to that. So if there are 5 yellows or any color, then that busts. You do not score those cards. You go down to the next highest. Another twist is if there's a tie. So if there's 3 of 2 colors, then you go down to the next color and you score those. You keep on going down. If there continues to be a tie, then nobody scores for that round. You do this, you draw a card, so you're always up to 5 cards in your hand. When you get 4 in front of you, another round will start. You put 2 more out. You do this until the game's over, and that's the whole game. It's actually really fun. It's a game where you're trying to outguess your opponent. You're trying to get in their head. Are they going to play a Cadodo so that there's 4? I have one in my hand. Should I play one because there's 4? I see somebody else is collecting yellows. I'm going to play 2 yellows so they bust because they've played their 6, and I don't want them to score their 6. But I don't have that card in my hand. I'm hoping I'm going to draw it. So there's a lot of second guessing, a lot of trying to get in your opponent's head, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a light game, but one that we really enjoyed.
It reminds me a little bit of What the Heck, which is also a light card game where you're also trying to get in your opponent's heads and and figure out what number they're going to play and what you should play. And
right. Yeah. No, there's some similarities there for sure. I'm interested in playing at more than 2 on this one. I think it'd be a little bit more chaotic. The limits are going to change. Instead of 4 Cadodos, it'll be 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that, depending on the player count. But there's card counting in this game. You don't know the cards that are removed, but you know what's been played. So you can kind of, if you're good at keeping track of everything, you can try and play the odds that way. But the more players you get, the more you're gonna have to keep track of. It seems like that would be a fun experience as well. But a 2-player, I thought it was great.
So do you have the Azul one, or do you have the Dodo one?
I have the first one that came out. This is actually based on another game called 5 Colors. I'm not sure when that one came out. That one came out in 2017. This is kind of the updated version of that by Next Move. And then, like you mentioned, there is a new Azul version that I do not have, but
it probably
looks
doesn't
pretty cool.
have Cadodos in it.
I would imagine it doesn't have Cadodos. Now I'm curious. I got to see what it has.
Well, here's the thing. If you don't have this game and can't get a hold of it, you can always just make a game out of this game by going back and listening to this episode and making a drinking game of how many times Kevin says good Cadodo.
Yeah, that's true. Cadodo.
It sounds like a game I would play just because there are Cadodos.
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, we should say make a drinking name out of that game.
It
or
is
that name.
The Last of the Really Great Wang Doodle. It's a book written by Julie Andrews.
Okay. Tyler, we're learning all kinds of stuff
I know.
in this episode. What was the other thing we learned?
Petrichor. Yeah, the smell after rain.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
I'm full of all sorts of random useless
You are
facts.
a fountain of knowledge. This is amazing.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up what we've been playing lately.
I think it's time to get stranded on an island.
Yeah, let's strand ourselves on an island.
So we've already mentioned a couple of times this episode that we want to talk about games that you would play when stranded on an island, right? But what are those kinds of games? We've got a few different categories, and we're going to try something a little bit different here than we've done in previous episodes. We're going to incorporate a draft element to this discussion topic. So essentially, we've created 6 different categories of games that fall in this desert island stranding. You can't get off the island very easily, or you're trapped, shipwrecked, whatever it is, and what types of games you would play in these specific scenarios. So one of those categories, for example, is our Castaway category, the category in which you're like Tom Hanks Wilson, you're all alone on an island, nothing to do, you're by yourself. You can either play a game with Wilson, or these are solo games, essentially. We're going to play solo games. So we've got the Castaway category. We've got the Never Being Rescued category. This is the category where you're going to live the rest of your life on it. So what game do you play?
You better like this one.
You better like this game because it's the only one you're playing for the rest of your life. Then you've got the game that will survive. So you're shipwrecked, you're crashed into the ocean, whatever it may be.
Looking for durability.
What is the game that's going to come to shore and actually not fall apart in the water? You've got the Icebreaker category. You get stranded with other people. What game do you play with complete strangers?
With weirdos.
That you don't know who they are, and you have to take your mind off of being stranded on the island with them, right? And we've also got the game that only gets played because you are stuck. This is not a game that you would normally play because you're at home. Distractions is maybe a game you wanted to play or something like that, but this is the only way you're getting this game played is if you're stranded on a desert island.
Unlimited time.
Yeah.
Right? There's no other. You're not going to work. You're on a desert island.
I mean, you're working to stay alive, but
But there's that, I guess.
At some point, you have way more free time.
Yeah, once you're set up and you got your life organized, right? And then the final category we have is our Firewood category.
I feel bad about this one a little bit, but
I've got some good
But it's a survival technique.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that you're going to use because they provide the most likely chance of you starting a fire.
Creating warmth,
right?
I'm really interested to see how we don't come up with all the same answer for that one.
So exactly, that's
I am almost positive you guys don't have my game.
You don't have my game in this, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe my runner-up, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to do a draft. Tyler here has a die in his hand, a 6-sided die. He's going to roll it. It's going to select a category for us, and we're going to basically get to draft a game. So we've all chosen different games and backup games that we have, and we want to go through and choose them. We cannot choose the same game as anybody else has already chosen. So that is also where Tyler will roll the die, and he's going to tell us who is going to be able to be first in selecting a game for this category. So remember, you can't choose the same game as somebody else, and you have to choose it to fit the category.
Okay. Are we ready?
I think so.
I warmed up the dice a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to roll for category now.
Okay, the category is You're Never Being Rescued. What game are you going to play forever?
And who do we have then going first?
Kevin.
All right. Never Being Rescued. I'm stuck on an island forever. It needs to be a game, I think, with endless replayability, right?
Absolutely.
Or at least a lot of replayability. That's one of my criteria. This game that I picked has been around since 1993.
Oh.
It's an old one.
This is not one of my games, so I'm safe.
So I have played this game a little bit. I've only played it on Xbox Live. It is Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I played on the Xbox Live version is Duels of the Planeswalkers. I enjoyed it. I didn't get sucked into the digital version. My criteria for this, though, is that I have all of the content for Magic the Gathering all the way back to 93. I don't care how expensive it is. If I'm stuck on an island, Black Lotus, whatever, I want it.
I'm sorry, you only have one deck and it's one.
Oh, whatever.
It's been banned.
This is one game, and that whole game spans for 30 years. So I'm
going to use that logic later on in this discussion.
Okay, got it. So I'm going to go crazy with this game. I'm going to set up tournaments. We will never miss a Friday Night Magic, that's for sure. We have deck building options for days. I'll have people on this island that I can play with that are just as nerdy about Magic as I am.
Yeah, hopefully you're not a lone survivor on this one.
Well, no, that's another category, the solo Castaway. Right. I would not pick Magic the Gathering for that game. But, I don't have a whole lot of experience playing this game, just a little bit like I mentioned on Xbox Live. But I think it's a game that, I love deck building. I just think I could just really sink my teeth into this one and have a great time with it. So that is my choice for the Never Being Rescued game.
Nice.
Magic the Gathering.
All right. So I think that makes me go next, right?
Yep.
So I chose a game so for me, one of my criteria in this was I didn't know if this one was I was going to be stranded alone or if I was with people. And so I chose games that could facilitate both. And they were games that, like you said, Kevin, are going to be something that I can play over and over and over again and never get tired. So the choice that I did was I chose Scythe Rise of Fenris specifically. So the Rise of Fenris campaign, because I can play that game solo and play it over and over and over and have different content in there, as well as I can play that game with people. And I think it makes for, if the people who are there on the island with me.
Which doesn't include me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not allowed to play it with
That's
you
one
guys.
caveat. If we were stuck on an island with you, you're in.
Yeah.
You could play
that one with me.
Yeah, for sure.
In that case, yeah. Oh, no, wait. Let me play it solo first through, and then the next time we'll play.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think this is a great game. It's one that I would play over and over again. It's one I have played over and over again. And with all of that content, I think there's a lot to modular changes to it. It would work well with playing with different people who have nothing but time, I think, because they would eventually learn to love it because they have nothing better to do, and it's great. So, Scythe Rise of Fenris.
I like that because it's, like you said, very modular. Right, you can throw in and out different modules,
right,
and just really play around with that whole, that system.
Exactly,
which is cool. I like it. It's a good choice.
So I came up with a really old game, but my wife hurt my feelings a little bit. She said if I picked a choir, then she didn't want to be stranded on the island with me.
That's a valid point, right?
To be fair, I don't think very many people, with you and nothing but time to play a choir, you're already a lot better than most people.
Well, then they would just,
they
would build up to where I was, and then it would be.
They would just get frustrated and want to strangle you.
It's going to turn into the whole solo Castaway scenario after a while.
Yeah,
you're going to be the only one there playing.
All right,
it's going to be Jerry's game from Toy Story.
Everybody's going to find a way. Yeah, they're going to find a way off the island somehow. It's like, I don't want to play this with Tyler.
No, they're stuck too.
Oh, okay, they're stuck.
Anyway, I picked a different game, and if you're stuck on an island forever, you might need some morale boosters. So the game that I picked is Survive: Escape from Atlantis. This came out in 1982, and no matter how bad things get on the island, they're not going to be as bad as they get in this game, right? So in Survive, everybody starts out in the center island. There's only a certain amount of boats. You're trying to get off the island, but the boats get attacked by serpents and whales and sharks, and the island is exploding, and there's lava, and all kinds of terrible things are happening as it sinks into the ocean, right? So no matter how bad things get on the island, you can play Survive and realize, you know what? This island's not on fire. And there's no lava.
Isn't it too close to home? This is going to
exactly
trigger
what I was thinking.
This is going to
It's
trigger
too
like
close to home.
PTSD.
It's going to be re-traumatizing you over and over again.
No, you're going to be grateful that you have this wonderful island to stay on, and it's beautiful, and there's a nice breeze, and there's plenty of food.
I think I'm
Can you imagine,
on a different island than you?
Can you imagine if you were like on a volcanic island? You're playing the game about volcanoes, and then a volcano. Yeah, that would be terrible. But
then you'd be like, well, okay, this is how I'm going out. All right.
Yeah, right.
No, so that was my pick, Survive. I
like it.
I was going to go a different direction with a couple other games but I thought I'd mix it up a little bit. So,
I like it. That's a good one.
Survive, Escape from Atlantis by Stronghold Games of the last 15 years, I think.
Nice.
So that was our never being rescued category. Let's roll for the next category.
Oh, this is me. This die is apparently weighted. Okay, here we go. Ooh. Castaway.
Yeah.
All right, and it's either Tyson or me going first. It's me.
Yep.
Okay. Second. Good.
All right, if I'm stuck on an island by myself for any given length of time, we didn't really put a stipulation on how long it's going to be, but if I'm stuck by myself, I want to do what Kevin did with Magic the Gathering. I want the whole collection of Lord of the Rings, the card game, right? I want to play Lord of the Rings. I want to create decks. I want to have all the decks available to me, all the different expansions. And I mean, there are years and years of content for you to play through there.
Matt, my brother-in-law, has everything for that game.
That is incredible.
With the exception, I think, of the Nightmare decks, which make the game even harder. Who wants that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's already hard to know.
But he has everything, and he just he has tubs full of this stuff. That's awesome. Yeah. You'd have a lot of entertainment out of that.
Yeah, I think that would keep me busy for till the end of my days.
I get the feeling that I'm about to get shafted in my choices.
Is this one of your picks?
We'll see.
Okay. So that was my pick. Lord of the Rings, the card game.
I'm going to pull an audible here on what I'm going to throw you a bone because I think I know what you may have picked.
I've got options.
Oh, I know what I picked too.
Yeah,
I think I do
because it's
too.
probably it's probably number one on my list. I'm going to go to number two though, just to switch it up a little bit. So you guys have talked about Final Girl quite a bit. And I think that's going to be my choice. There's a ton of content.
With season 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a new Kickstarter coming out. I would wait to be stranded until this Kickstarter is fulfilled, just so I had that content as well. It sounds like an awesome game. Very cinematic, very thematic. I like the theme. The horror theme is really cool. I think I would be very happy with Final Girl.
Now I'm really
It'd be really creepy playing it at night, like under torchlight,
Yeah, right?
Like,
why would you be playing this game? This is not the Firewood category.
No,
You're gonna light
torchlight. Torchlight.
And your torch
Torchlight.
is going to fall on your board game and light it on fire.
No, you'd be careful. It would be all for the atmosphere.
You've got it contained and controlled.
Yeah, what you're
established on the island.
Playing a scenario with an axe murderer, and you got like some animal rustling behind you.
No, I disagree, Tyler. I think it would be way scarier playing Survive, Escape from Atlantis on an island than playing. I'm on a desert island completely alone. I know nobody's there. I've searched this island up and down. There is no axe murder coming for me.
I mean, your mind starts playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
I think. I think this type of game would totally.
You're just going to always be appreciative that your island's not sinking into the ocean.
This is true. So that's my game. I'm going with Final Girl. The whole collection.
I liked it. That was also on my list, and I went with Lord of the Rings.
I can't believe that I didn't have that one on my list. I'm
thought for sure
a little upset that I didn't put that one on there.
What do you got, Tyson?
So I'm going to go with the obvious choice then. The one that I think we're all thinking of. I chose Arkham Horror, the living card game.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that was my number one. But yeah.
And same logic to both Tyler and with his Lord of the Rings LCG and Kevin with his Magic the Gathering. I'd want all the content for this and then have an infinite possibility of deck construction and going through these scenarios. And because they change, like you can have the scenarios and different things happen each time, I'd be able to come back to the same one after I've cycled through different expansions and things like that and play it with a different investigator, with different outcomes.
A different experience every time you play.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to make sure, don't read the other outcomes because you want to be surprised, right? So just read
at some point, if I'm, depending on how long I'm stranded, I may...
Yeah, you're going to get.
I'm going to get through.
You're going to get through all of them. Can you imagine going through every campaign with every investigator?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would take forever.
Yeah. And I'd have that time. So yeah, no, Arkham Horror, the living card game for my solo Castaway game.
Love it. All great selections.
Agreed.
Favorite category so far.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So Tyson's going to go first on this one.
Right.
And it is going to be game that gets played only because you have unlimited free time.
All right. So with this category specifically, I'm glad I'm going first on this one because I think this is a one, there might be some overlap on this one, I'm not sure. But there are certain games out there that I'm never going to play because I know how time consuming they are. I'm assuming with this category that I have somebody to play with. So these aren't solo experiences, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the whole Warhammer 40K, right?
I thought about this one.
I did too.
Yeah.
Or any basic tactical miniatures game. I thought of like X-Wing or different war games or things like that. But like these tactical miniature games that I think are really cool and exciting, but specifically Warhammer with all the lore and all of the different things in it. I would have every army that's ever been created and have all of that content to explore and then build armies, create tournaments between people on this island and just be able to explore it. And then you'd have this competition of people who you've got nothing but time to play these tactical miniatures game and then get really proficient at them. That I think would be the best experience for me in that situation because I don't think there's going to be many other scenarios in which I will get to explore Warhammer 40K in as much detail as I think it deserves.
I like it. I thought about that one as well. You're going to have to bring a full paint set too. And then like, in your downtime, then you got to paint all your minis.
Just paint them all. Yeah. And then you can repaint them at different colors later just to keep yourself busy.
Yeah. That's awesome. I would love to get into Warhammer 40K.
It's a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down.
I know. I say I would love to, but I never will because of the costs associated with it. I don't think they're cheap minis, right? And it's more of a lifestyle game that really, a lot of people only play Warhammer.
That is the game, right?
Yeah, that's the game they play.
Because you don't have time for other games sometimes.
Right. But it looks awesome. Yeah, it'd be fun. Who's up next?
So games, I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to call an audible on this one as well. I didn't like what I'd come up with before. So the game that I want to have unlimited time to play is Root. Should I pick something else?
No, you could cheat. We cheat every episode.
I do not cheat every episode.
I said we collectively.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's always
I was like, whoa.
Whatever.
A deck of cards.
I'm going to do 2 ratings. Whatever, a deck of cards. I'm going to do 2 ratings. It's a 3 if it's this. It's a 2 if it's this. It's a 4.5 if it's this. Whatever. That was just last episode.
All right. Okay. So, so I'm picking Root, right? I have played Root 2-player games a bunch with my son, but to really, it's a lifestyle game, right? You need a good group of people who have the free time and ability to learn the ins and outs of every single faction, and just the unlimited plays that you could get out of this would be fantastic. Plus, you could turn it into like, okay, whoever loses the game the worst has to clean the latrines and just rewards and benefits from winning the game. Because I mean, you're not in a forest, but you're on an island.
How small is your island? Just go dig a new hole.
I mean, you're going to be there for a long time. That's a lot of new holes.
That's true. There's got to be some sort of waste management system, okay?
Yeah, right? Okay, well, latrines, dishes, fishing, whatever. Check the traps.
Yeah, go find dinner tonight.
Make sure that the guy that's insane is...
Who's babysitting dog tonight?
It's time to clean Billy again.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
I'm not doing that job.
No,
I'm
but
winning.
I think the situations and the strategy that this game potentially can create, if everybody knows how to play and knows each one of the factions ins and outs, like, would just be incredible. It's something that we'll never really have the time to do while we're recording a podcast and playing constantly new games. We're never going to have a time to get into a game like Root and just explore it and play it week after week or month after month after month, right? And so unlimited free time, even though I've played it before, I'm picking Root because that would just be an incredible experience.
I think that's a great pick.
It's a good one.
I've played Root a little bit, but I think it deserves so much. That's with a lot of the leader games, honestly. Oath, Root, some of like the Vast. Like, I think that they deserve more attention and more time that I just don't have to commit. I think Root would be a perfect example for that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be a good one. So I've always been interested in war games, but all I've dabbled in is just the super simplistic Memoir 44. I have Undaunted, haven't played it yet, but I'm excited to play it. Very simple, World War II simulation. If I had unlimited time, I would want to get into more serious war games, I think.
I sort of said this.
Yeah. So the first one I thought of. So there's this game. It's called. This isn't my pick, but there's this game called The Campaign for North Africa: The Desert War, 1940 to 1943.
Like, so 24-hour play or something.
Gather your closest 10 friends or 9 friends, because you can get 10 people playing it. It plays, according to the box, 1,200 hours.
Oh my God.
It's how long this game plays.
Is this one, like, it has a huge map and a huge board? I think I've seen this one at conventions.
I would be surprised if it's even a convention game. There is no way you're going to get. I guess if you go to multiple conventions.
That's what they go to the convention and they play it
I'm going to play this for 4 days straight over 5 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's crazy. Yeah, that's not my pick.
Okay.
That's not my pick. My real pick is a game called Advanced Squad Leader. Have you guys heard of this
ASL.
one? ASL. It has a complexity rating of 4.74 on Board Game Geek. This is not an easy game. If I had unlimited time, I think it would be awesome to really dig into one of these super complex war games. And if there's somebody there that's equally as invested, you could play this game forever. On Board Game Geek, the page lists 540 expansions for this game. You could play any number of scenarios. I think it's mainly focused on World War II, but I think it's branched out to other wars at this point. The system, obviously can be adapted to whatever. I don't know. I think it'd be fun just to really dig in, especially with all that content, and just figure all the ins and outs of this super complex war game.
I considered this game for my Firewood game, actually, because of the vast amounts of little cardboard that you can use to start a fire every time you need to start a fire.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we're stuck on the same island. I get sick of it, and then you can start a fire with it.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
I like it.
So Advanced Squad Leader.
That's a good one.
That's my pick.
So we got to choose the next category.
Yep. All right, here we go.
We're down to the last 3 categories. We've got what? Game That Will Survive, Icebreaker, and Firewood left.
Yep. All right, it is Game That Will Survive. And we're rolling to see who goes first. Tyson.
Hey.
Oh, no. This is what I'm worried about.
I know. This was the one
And I'm last. No. Okay.
All right. So the one I think that Kevin's going to pick is the one that I think I'm going to pick, and that's going to be Hive. Hive
It's my runner-up. It's my runner-up.
Is a game that is like, it's got those acrylic tiles and it's got different symbols on them. If I'm stranded on an island, if I fall off the boat, whatever it is, and it washes up on shore, that thing is fine. This game can almost survive like a nuclear holocaust because of how sturdy and how solid that game is. I've seen people play this game on beaches, like in sand and stuff, and it
doesn't matter, right?
You can play this game anywhere, and it's going to survive. So, the game that will survive for me that I would play on a desert island if I can't construct a shelter and it's going to rain on it all the time, it doesn't matter. This game is going to survive. Whether my sanity will survive is a whole different question. And it's a 2-player game, so that means that I don't have to have too many survivors to play with this one. So my game that will survive is Hive.
Okay, I have one left. That was my only backup, Tyler. Don't choose my game.
All right, so my choice is both durable and useful. So I picked a well-known game by a great designer named Sid Saxon. It is Can't Stop. You have this plastic board, you got plastic cone pieces that you're moving up, and you've got dice. There's no cardboard, no paper needed, nothing's going to rot. Can't stop. Perfect. Plus, if a bird comes and lands on a branch or a small mammal runs by, you grab the disc, the board, and you huck it at it, and you've got dinner.
That is useful.
Hey, I'm trying to be resourceful with my choices.
Until that plastic cracks.
Well, if it cracks, then you just draw the board in the sand, and that's how you keep playing.
That's fair. And you still have the pieces.
I love it.
So that's my choice. Can't stop.
Okay. Your guys' games are maybe slightly more durable than mine, but I like my pick anyway. So this company prides itself on being able to make durable games that you can even play in the bathtub. And they have a video out that shows them playing the game in the bathtub. This is Chip Theory games, right?
I considered this.
Yep. So the game that I would want to bring is Too Many Bones, with all of its expansions. So this one's designed by Josh J. Carlson and Adam Carlson. Like I mentioned, published by Chip Theory Games. If I have to jump off a boat, maybe I'll lose the box, but I'm not going to lose the pieces inside the box. I might have to, put it in another bag or something. I don't know much about this game.
Because the bags are in abundance on desert island.
Hey, I'll fashion something, okay? I'm going to use my survival skills.
Weave something.
I'll weave a basket to put all my Too Many Bones in.
Underwater basket weaving.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know much about this game. It looks like something I'd be interested in. Looks like a cool RPG style, got cool player boards, neoprene mats that aren't going to go bad. I think the cards are waterproof. It's got dice. I mean, nothing's going to happen to dice, right?
You're building up your character to fight a big bad or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's my choice. Really, anything by Chip Theory Games.
Really,
but Too Many Bones is what I'd play.
I almost listed Cloud Spire.
Okay. Yeah.
But as my options to Can't Stop, I had Azul and Too Many Bones.
Yeah, I thought about Azul because you could make.
You just need a grid.
You just need you could find some leaves to put the offer boards, put the tiles on or something like that. Azul's a good pick too.
Yeah. I like that. Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
All right. What numbers do we have left? We have
6 and
4.
4, yeah.
So really, okay, if I roll 1, 2, 3, it's going to be 4. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to do the Icebreaker game. You've just been marooned on this island, and there's a bunch of strangers that were also marooned on the island. Your family died coming to shore. You're all alone.
This is horrible.
It was bad enough that I got desert island.
Now I have no family.
Oh, your family wasn't on this trip. They weren't on this trip.
This was a business trip.
You can try to get to know people even if your family's there.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's do that.
That's more fluffy clouds
Yep.
approach.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Who's first?
It's between me and you.
Oh, okay. It's me.
Okay.
All right. I don't think you picked this game.
Yeah, I don't think anybody picked my game.
Same.
So I picked a game called Diplomacy as my icebreaker. You may be wondering, where am I going with this?
Yes, I am.
Seems like the opposite.
Hold on a second. Yeah, well, if you're stranded on an island with a bunch of strangers, you want to know what type of people these are right off the bat. So are they treacherous? Are they going to try and work together? Will they stab you in the back? I think diplomacy is the perfect game for figuring that out. Plus, if they're going to crack under 6 hours of gameplay of diplomacy, do you really want to be dependent on them?
Wait, so
you
what's
might be
my
better off
alternative
going
now?
off solo on the rest of the island.
Are you putting a murder on the board here? What's going?
No, I'm just saying.
What am I doing with them if I can't work with them?
Living somewhere else on the island and looking out for yourself.
Other side of the Castaway solo. Then you play
solo.
Arkham Horror.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, you want to know what type of people you're dealing with. What better of a game to find that out than diplomacy?
Yeah.
I can see that logic.
I like it.
Plus, if they're amazing at it and without being treacherous or without backstabbing, then
doesn't that game like ruin friendships?
It does.
So maybe you become friends and then you play some diplomacy later, and then you ruin that friendship.
Yeah. So that's my icebreaker, diplomacy.
Okay,
I know that was the opposite of what you guys were doing.
So mine, I wanted to pick a really short game because if it's a weirdo, I don't want to be stuck with them for very long.
6 hours.
6 hours, right? And I play a game where you can kind of get a feel for the person. My game's only 15 minutes long. It is Bang the Dice game. It can play a larger group, right? So it plays up to 8 players. So if there's a large group of weirdos you want to get to know, then you can play with 8 people all at once, right? You have alliances, you got the sheriff, you got deputies, you got the renegade, you've got outlaws. So, I mean, if you're the sheriff and somebody else is a deputy, you're going to be in an alliance with them. You could forge a long-lasting friendship after playing Bang the Dice game. That's a little bit of a stretch here, but it's very lighthearted. As you're playing the game, you can just chit chat. There's not a lot of rules to really worry about, so you can get to know other people that are on the island with you. So that's my game. Bang the Dice game.
Nice.
Kind of a lighthearted party style game.
I went through the same line of thinking. One of my backups was a quick game that you can quickly get to know somebody and understand who they are a little bit and make sure that it's brief. But I didn't end up going with that as my final choice. I went the opposite way that Tyler was going and let's sow discontent and ruin it. And I went ruin relationships.
It's a test.
Right. I'm not testing it. I want to build camaraderie, learn how to do
co-op?
Team building skills.
Oh my gosh, Tyson went co-op.
I chose a cooperative
Oh
game.
my gosh. Mark this episode.
With a pin in that, okay? With a caveat. It is a semi-cooperative game. I almost chose Spirit Island because, but I thought the theme
island theme.
It was too close to home, right? I didn't want to go with the survive route that Tyler had chosen before. So I didn't do Spirit Island, and it was a little too complex. But ultimately, I landed on a semi-co-op because that way I can get the co-op team building feel, but then also there are times that I'm not going to be on the team. The game I chose was Mysterium, where you have one role that is working to try and help the team. The ghost character who is giving clues to your people, and then they have to figure out what you're doing. It teaches communication without having verbal communication, and it teaches team building skills. I thought this would be a great way to build camaraderie and see who you can work with and see how people's brains work, because it's a game where you have to see what is this person trying to say by giving me this abstract card art, and how does that work? So it was a game that helps you get to know the person and their way of thinking so that you can work together better.
I love how we all had vastly different approaches to this question.
Yeah. The other one,
I like it.
The other runner-up that I picked was Ice Cool, because there's no language barrier. It's all dexterity, and you're flicking penguins around trying to collect fish, and that's thematic. And
see, I had that same thought, because like if I'm stranded on a desert island, it's not anywhere near Colorado where we're from. It's probably on an international flight, so there may be people who I don't speak the same language as, so I wanted a language independent game, and yeah, that's a good one.
It's a new twist. Nice. I thought cockroach poker would be fun. That'd be a good one.
That would be good.
Lighthearted. Maybe there's cockroaches on the island. Are there cockroaches on islands?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that leaves us with the final category being the firewood category.
And is Kevin first?
And I think Kevin is first.
I think he is.
Okay.
And this is bad because I only have 2 games written down.
Yeah, it's stressful if you're last. I don't think you picked this one, though. So I was thinking about this category. You probably want a big game, a lot of cardboard pieces, kindling, maybe not a lot of plastic because, plastic's toxic when you burn it, puts off a lot of smoke and stuff. Maybe smoke's a good thing trying to get off this island. But I picked a game called Ogre. Have you guys heard of this game?
Right?
Yeah. This is published by Steve Jackson Games. It's designed by Steve Jackson. Why is this a good game to build a fire with? Well, it's massive. So if you look at pictures of this game on Board Game Geek, people use babies for scale, right? It's just a huge, huge board. And what makes this game even better is usually when you get these big box games, you're going to have a lot of minis. Like you look at a CMON game, it's just chock full of minis. This game does not use minis. All of these little ogres, which I think are these little tank type things, are cardboard. You put them together with cardboard pieces, right? So cardboard for days. There's like 8 different boards that come in this game. So it's going to burn for a while. There is some plastic. You got plastic inserts, but most games have plastic inserts. That's going to burn for a while and probably keep you warm. But just due to the sheer size of this game, that's my pick for Firewood. And it would pain me. I want to make that known to burn any game. But if it's a survival situation, if it's I'm going to freeze to death or burn a game, then I want Ogre.
Yeah. No.
So that was my pick.
I think we went in a similar line of thinking here, Kevin, because I wanted a game that didn't have a whole ton of toxins potentially.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I get it.
You're on an island. You guys are worried about toxins?
To die, but I still I want to be environmentally conscious, and I want to not put too many toxins in the air. My footprint needs to be environmentally friendly as best as I can, right?
So John Kerry.
Yeah.
Who cares about the glues on the boards and stuff like that? It's fine.
Oh, it's the day of Recyclops Day?
Yes.
I thought you were killed by Poluticorn.
Poluticorn wishes.
So I went the way that I don't want cardboard either if I can help it and get as little as I can.
What are you burning then?
I'm intrigued.
I want a game with a ton of cards and basically only cards. And so I want
It's going to burn fast though. But go ahead.
every expansion ever of Dominion.
You picked Dominion? Whatever. Nobody else can choose Dominion here. Oh my gosh.
So I chose everything.
Just don't
of
sleeve the
Dominion.
cards because that's a lot of plastic.
I don't sleeve cards anyway.
I thought we
so
were
it's
done
fine.
talking about Dominion.
Oh, how did Dominion make it? I was thinking about putting that in my, if I'm stuck forever on the island.
See, here's the other one I thought of because I knew that would be an inflammatory game for Kevin in particular.
Inflammatory.
But Killer Bunnies was another one that I considered.
Wholeheartedly agree with that.
There's a lot of cards in that one
Exactly.
too.
All
I
of
don't
them.
know that I'd get as fired up as Kevin would.
That's why I
about,
ultimately had to
Fired up.
Dominion.
Oh my gosh. The puns keep coming. All right.
So yeah, Dominion. And everything of Dominion, I want that. That's going to be my kindling to keep me warm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's a huge card pool there to draw from. So yeah, good choice, jerk.
So I think the obvious answer is Gloomhaven, but that's not what I'm picking.
Yeah.
Too many plastic minis in there. You're killing the environment.
I'm not worried about the toxins.
I had that. I had that as my backup, but yeah.
I feel like that's the obvious answer. I'm going to go a different route. And again, I am going with the island theme. This is Spirit Island. There is a decent amount of cardboard for you to burn. Plus, you can still play it a little bit while you're about to throw it in the fire.
You can still play with it a little bit.
And
my gosh.
And if any angry island spirits show up, you can show them that you are
burning their
the
game?
environment.
No,
you're putting toxins in the air.
that
They
you
will
are-
not be on your side.
You're playing the game and defending the island, and that you are a good person that has come to their island.
You're polluting their eyes. Let me
Get some good plays
minor.
in before you throw it in the fire. And if
Yeah.
an angry spirit shows up, you can show, hey, I'm trying to protect the island. Look what I'm doing on the game.
No,
I like it. No, I like it. I think it's good.
But I think Kevin and I are both more likely to be more compatible with the spirits of the island, ensuring that we're not burning toxins, is all I'm saying.
Yes, those toxins that are going to travel 8 feet and then dissipate into nothingness.
Yep.
That's aerosol spray. It's terrible for the environment.
Humans are terrible for the environment.
Way to hate the island is all I'm saying.
What a weird category. I like it, though. That's good. Again, we don't like to burn games, but only in survival situations.
So were there any other games that you guys wanted to mention that were runner-ups or that we haven't already mentioned?
Like Never Being Rescued, Anachrony. How could I not think about my number one game of all time? And with all of the modules that you can just mix and match and play. You can play that game for forever.
I had it listed as an alternate, but we've talked about it so much before.
Yep.
Yeah. And Gloomhaven was the same for me in a Never Being Rescued scenario. I've played a lot of it, and it's one I could play over and over and over again and be content.
I think Seventh Continent would be great for Stuck Forever.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
You got like 1,800 cards to play through. And
that could be done solo too, right?
Yep. So that was one that I had listed for that, but
I had a Button Shy game for my solo game, Skulls of Sedlec, but I talked about Button Shy enough that we didn't need to add
my gosh. That's your dominion.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott Alms is going to wake up one morning and Tyson's going to be staring in his window.
hey, what's your next game? What's your next game? I need it. You're tapping your arm.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our discussion on the desert island games.
I would love to hear if you're a part of our Discord or you're not and you want to join our Discord. I'd love to hear what your desert island games would be. And I'd love to know whose list you think is the best
I agree.
for these different categories.
And we'll
agree.
put those on Discord grouped by person and category. Also, another question. We came up with 6 different categories. If you have one that came to mind, share it with us and let's talk about it and pick our games for that too. So
yeah, that'd be a fun Discord conversation for sure. Yeah. It'd be awesome.
So let's go into things that we are excited about that are not going to be on a desert island and games we're actually going to be able to play potentially.
Let's do it. So one thing that I'm excited about, we talked about Kickstarters and Kickstarters being fulfilled. I think in our last episode. And one of those is shipping soon for me, and that is Astro Knights. This is kind of a follow-up to Aeon's End. It's pretty much the same system, but I think it's a little bit more streamlined. I'm just really excited for this one to get it played. I think it's one my family will love. So it's shipping soon. I haven't got my shipping notification yet, but I'm expecting it in the next few days. So Astro Knights, I'm excited.
It doesn't have any miniatures or things in that one, right?
No, I don't think so. It's just a card game. Different theme. It's kind of got a funky art style. But I like it.
It's a cooperative deck builder like Aeon's End.
Cooperative deck, right up your alley.
Oh, is that my Firewood category? Oh, no.
No. This is a highly anticipated Kickstarter. So I'm excited for that. That should be shipping soon.
I'll go next because mine is also same vein. I got a shipping soon kind of update from a Kickstarter, and this is one that I've been excited about for a very long time. It's one that I've been waiting for, and it is Darwin's Journey. I got notification.
No. This is coming?
It's on a boat.
I don't believe you.
I saw it in the container. As long as it doesn't end up on a desert island, we'll be fine.
Oh, that would be funny.
That
would be terrible.
I'd cry.
A lot of people would be upset about that.
Yeah. But no, Darwin's Journey. This is a game. I put this in as one of my favorite games in one of our recent podcast episodes of games played in 2022. This is one that I loved playing then, and I'm so excited to finally get my copy of this game. It is, as Tyler has been so kind to remind me, it was on Kickstarter the same time that Carnegie was on Kickstarter, and so it's been a while.
That was fulfilled a long time ago.
It was. And I even felt like that was delayed a little bit.
I think it was. Yeah. But,
it's on its way.
Some Kickstarters just get delayed longer than others. As long as they get fulfilled eventually.
Right. As long as I get it.
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning to an email that I was really excited about. It was from Stonemaier Games. There were 2 announcements today. Expeditions, a Scythe sequel game.
Boom.
As soon as it was Scythe, I was like, all in. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
This is a card-based engine builder with exploration of tiles as you and other players head to Siberia to explore a crashed meteorite and exploit it. So it's got familiar mechs, quests, power, guile, corruption, characters and companions, workers, Scythe, say no more. So that was the first one. That is pre-order right now. I think it'll fulfills...
I think it was like June or something.
Yeah,
it was like 3 months out, I think.
And that's typical Stonemaier.
3 or 4. Math is hard.
I guess
we're in February, March, April, May, June. I mean, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it was sometime this summer that it'll fulfill, right? The other announcement was another Tapestry expansion. I know we have kind of a love-hate relationship with Tapestry. This is the Fantasies and Futures expansion, which adds fantasy and sci-fi inspired civs, which are sure to be unbalanced. But
wildly unbalanced civilizations.
But I love it. I don't care.
I don't
They
care
will
either.
be rebalanced at least 10 times.
Yes. New city mats, which I loved the new city mats from Arts and Architecture. Those were incredible, and I would never not want to play with those going forward. They just changed things up so much and made the building in your city so much more interesting, as they have different scoring mechanisms and different bonuses.
I'm so sad that on BGA that's not included. Like even if the rest of the expansions weren't there, if I could just have those civilization mats, it would make all the difference between it would elevate the experience. I agree with you, Tyler.
So I actually
the game I would just play with those.
I joined the Stonemaier Discord server and asked that question in the Tapestry channel, and one of the responses, I don't know who, some random person was like, I think Jamie said at some point that parts of the expansions, the civs, will make it onto BGA, but not necessarily the full expansions.
I'd be totally fine with that.
But I want the city mats though.
Right.
But those changed. Anyway.
Yes.
I'm excited for this expansion. New Tapestry cards, new tech cards. As unbalanced as it can be sometimes, it's still a fun and simple game. And the thought of new city mats and new cards to explore, I'm excited for it. So I will definitely be backing this. I think the pre-orders for Tapestry start in March for the Fantasies and Futures expansion. And I believe it will be the last expansion.
Those are exciting. I saw that email come in this morning, and I saved it because I didn't have time to look at the email.
Yeah.
And so this news that you're bringing is, I haven't heard it.
Oh, really?
Just now, because I
cool.
didn't get to read the email. And so that's super exciting to me.
Yeah.
I hope Expeditions is good. I think it's almost an impossible task to live up to Scythe.
Right.
But
the fact that it's in the same universe is already cool.
And the art is awesome.
Yeah. I've got one more thing. I don't know if I'm excited for this, but it's kind of cool.
I'm excited to hear what this is.
That's Andromeda's Edge. So this is a new Kickstarter on GameFound that's based on Dwellings of Eldervale. And I don't hate Dwellings of Eldervale. I've played it a few times. I think it's a fun game. I've watched some videos on Andromeda's Edge, and it actually looks pretty cool. And I'm more drawn to the space theme than I am to the fantasy theme in Dwellings. I like the fantasy theme, but if I had a choice, I would go space theme. And it looks like this one does it really well.
But do you get to put roofs on meeples?
You do not get to put hats on meeples, but you get to put you slot in things to an observatory, and there's these other buildings. I don't know what they're all called, but it's all prototype versions of what I've been watching. But it's probably fairly close to what the actual versions are going to be. It looks really good.
It does. I'm torn because we barely play my copy of Dwellings. That is a legendary copy, so it's upgraded to the max. And I don't know. I don't know that I have room for 2 of those in my collection when the first one doesn't get played already very much. So
Yeah, it's a tough call for sure.
Yeah, but are you going to make a comment about how you may or may not back this one? And then
I'm
I'll
not
tell
backing
you,
it.
I'll tell you that you're not going to, that you will back it and then you'll back out.
Okay,
Another time we're going to mark the episode. I'm not backing it.
Yeah, okay. I have thought about listing my legendary dwellings, but I don't think I'm going to do it. But that's the only way I would back this.
But when this starts to fulfill, whenever it starts, you're going to see those
FOMO
people getting their
I have thought
getting
about
their pledges and go, man, I wish I would have backed that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Though
You're going to back it. Why would I back it?
Well, I don't. That's why I said I don't know if I'm excited for it. I don't know if I'm going to do it.
You did make a commitment at the top of this episode that I've actually thought you've held on to very well.
That's right. We need to revisit this.
I've listened.
You've listened. You
Yeah.
haven't
I always listen for the record.
Sure. Oh my God. Sure. I feel like we have documented proof otherwise, but
You're doing better.
it was fantastic.
I was creating drama within the podcast.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was
So the
all
fact that
premeditated.
you held to that commitment, there's hope that you may hold to these other commitments too.
I also don't know that I have room for another space game because I'm going to be getting Vanguard and Voidfall, and I don't know.
Plenty of room
Well,
for
it's a
space games.
constant struggle of shelf space. Are we going to play the game?
StarCraft, the board game.
Yeah.
Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, I have no limit on my space games.
Same here.
I'll grab
Clank in
space game.
space.
No.
I'm gonna no. Hold on. I'm gonna keep listing all my space games.
We're going to be here for a while.
It does look good. Yeah. I'm interested to see if you back it or you back it.
I'm not going to back it, but I would love for one of you to.
It's a possibility, but I'm leaning towards not. But it is a possibility. It looks really good. And as I get sucked into these holes where I start researching games and, all these Kickstarter previews, just watch them all. I'm like, man, this looks really cool. And I don't want to. Kickstarter, it's FOMO. You just don't want to miss out, right?
Speaking of Kickstarter FOMO, my next excitement thing is I had Kickstarter FOMO. And a game recently started filling, and coincidentally, guess what? It's for Button Shy Games.
Get out of town.
Peeking in the window again.
but listen to this, all right? I actually have played this game, or at least the early version of this. Button Shy hosted a contest to see who could design an 18-card legacy game. I was involved in that contest, and I designed an 18-card legacy game, They wanted the design to some extent, but I didn't win the competition. The game that did win the competition is now called Wildtails, and it is an 18-card legacy game. It's designed by Dustin Dobson and Milan. I'm going to butcher your last name, and I am sorry because I've talked to you. I've play tested your games, but it's Milan Zivkovic, and these two designers, they're great. I've play tested their games. I've talked to them. I think they do a fantastic job at what they do. But it's called Wildtails, A Pirate Legacy. I ordered this. It's on the way, and I'm going to play this 18-card legacy game. When I played it in its very early versions, I was very excited about it. Now to see this really cute art that it has and everything that it does, I'm excited to play the full thing. So that's another game. Surprise, Button Shy.
Are you on their payroll? I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
At one point in time, I actually was on their payroll.
Yeah, okay.
But I haven't been paid by them for like a couple of years. So
one other game that I saw today, I was looking at the Red Cathedral, and I noticed that the designers of that have another game coming out this year from Devere Games called The White Castle, which has to do with the Himeji Castle in Japan. This is a quote from Israel Sandrero, one of the designers, about the White Castle. This is a whole new game in the same weight as Red Cathedral. Nothing in common apart from the theme, a colored iconic building, and the dice are the main way to do the actions and the combos. I had such a good experience with the Red Cathedral. It's a lighter weight game, almost like a Stone Age Century Spice Road feel to it, with some Heaven and Ale Rondale vibes in there. I don't know. Anyway, I had so much fun with this compact little midweight game that I was excited to see that they've got another one coming out called The White Castle, and there's not really information available on it, but I think it's going to come out in around October, maybe at Essenspiel. I don't know, but it looks it's piqued my interest, so I'm excited about that.
I know nothing about it, and I haven't played the other one. But all I can think of is Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
I didn't watch that one, so
I didn't either. I don't think it's about that, though.
It's probably not.
All right, so I think that wraps up our episode. We had fun talking about some of the games we've been playing lately, and then the island episode was a good time.
A lot of fun.
That was fun.
Well, there's lots of things to be excited about as Tyson's Kickstarters finally start showing up.
Yeah.
3 years later.
Right. Hey, at least I've got games. And now you know what they are.
You have games?
Do they all fit in your wallet?
Most of them, yes.
All right, cool.
Can you sneak them into the print?
And on that note,
That was it.
Oh, you were going to say that. All right, well, that was fun.
yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want more Longest Turn in your life, please check us out on Instagram. Also, be sure to check us out on Board Game Geek, where you can join our guild, Guild 3947, and check out our blog, where we post all our show notes and occasionally post more detailed reviews. If that's not enough for you, we have a Discord server. If you want to play a game with us on Board Game Arena, join our Board Game Arena group, The Longest Turn. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Tot ziens.
Goodbye.
See you later.